Welcome to TomPadulaTV. This morning, well, it's almost afternoon, I have been blessed because two of my favourite Italo-Australian politicians, they're the only two I know, have come past here in the city of Melbourne, and one has retired. He was the state member for the area, and the other one is ex-mayor of Brunswick and then Melbourne twice. So how blessed I am to have such important people in humble Teatro Padula. But there is one point I want to make, is that from here to the world is a step away these days, because if you go on TomPadulaTV.com, you'll be able to see this interview and a lot more. So welcome and enjoy the program. And now to you both, Carlo Carli on my right and on my left, Joe Caputo. Now notice that I am dressed nicely and that they have just come from outside because this is their time off.
From the snow.
So normally you don't get these people here dressed this way, and you get me the other way around. So today it's going to be very special. So who will I start with? The retired state member first, or the elder statesman?
I'd go with Carlo first.
You're going to choose Carlo?
Yeah, I'll go with Carlo first.
I don't know what to say, Carlo, because you said to me, what are we going to talk about? Well, there's one question I want to ask you. How does it feel to be free of representing the public after almost all of your adult life you've been involved in politics, directly in line, in the front line of politics? Now you are behind the scenes. You're probably more busy than ever, but you can afford now to say, no, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Whereas before you couldn't.
I say that all the time now. One of the things that's happened is people don't run up to me and complain and ask for things to be done. So there's a much more relaxed interaction with people. So I see the same people, but instead of they racing up and saying what's happened to our trains or what's happened to the footpaths or all those sort of questions, they don't anymore. And that's been a bit of a relief. The other thing that's is I am busy, but in a very, very different way, and I think I do miss parts of being a state member, and I miss Parliament a lot. I miss the late nights. I miss the sitting around, talking about the various issues and what we're going to do. But having said that, I did my fair share of that, and it's time I moved on and someone else took over. But it is a very, very different interaction with people, and also people who were my political enemies, not that they were personal enemies, but political enemies. Have been extraordinarily friendly since I retired.
Wonderful, Carlo. There is one sort of reflection I want you to make, is that you have been in opposition in government. You then have been in government, actually governing and occupying a major role, and now that you have just described your private role, what's the difference between being in government and in opposition on you as a politician?
Look, being in government, if you're a politician, you want to be in government. There's no doubt that for all the extra, I suppose, pressure, it's about making things happen. You can actually see achievements, and you have a big bureaucracy that responds to you, that services you, that provides, documents or assists you in various issues. Where in opposition, you really, first of all, you don't have the resources. The other one is that it's very hard to have a dialogue with the bureaucracy. People do not interact with you. It is a much better existence to be in government than to be in opposition.
So when you are in opposition, and you said that the bureaucracy serves the government,
it does.
So therefore, they really are not open to your suggestions as opposition.
No, well, they're not only not open to suggestions. I mean, they steer away from them because they don't want to be seen as being
because
too
you're
close.
providing another point of view.
Well, and also because they have to respect, if you like, their masters. And the government's not going to be very favourable if they see particularly key people in the bureaucracy assisting people within the opposition. So they steer away from you.
Right, but reflecting on that, is there a chance of an opposition member to actually achieve anything in their electorate whilst in opposition?
Oh, well, there is clearly, but you have to. You either have to do it via campaigning, or you do it via, trying to win support from within the government. And can I say that?
Is that working with your enemy?
Well, no, that part works. I mean, the funny thing is that you don't get much out of the bureaucracy, but you actually do get something out of, and you can work with members of the government or from the other party, because I think there's a really clear thing in Australia. Everyone knows that eventually you're going to be in opposition, and so the people in government, ministers, parliamentary secretaries, people with various authority, don't reject you out of hand if you're a member of the opposition, because they know one day it's going to be them. And so there is a little bit of support. And I remember when I was in opposition, we managed to get a really sizable purchase of a new school in Coburg, what used to be the old
Coburg High.
No, not the old La Trobe University site, the old Phillip Institute.
Oh, yes.
And that was a decision taken by a Liberal government, and they didn't have to make that decision, but they did under advice from me as a local member and other people. So there is a level of cooperation, collaboration that occurs, but it's rarely seen. When it comes to the actual bureaucracy, though, they don't like to be seen to be supporting or servicing the opposition, so they don't.
So there is really, our democracy is based on having different points of view and different agendas, and the opposition really acknowledging the differences, must respect the dialogue, but they don't necessarily have to follow what you in opposition want.
Yeah, but the difference is that in opposition you have very little resources, like very little access to decision making, very little access to the bureaucracy, little bit information to information. It is very hard to know what's going on. The government has so many advantages over the opposition, probably too much so. And the opposition has to wait for the scraps that fall off.
Well, I think we should leave it there, because this idea of democracy and how it should work could be, next time I see you, we can sort of go further into it.
Absolutely.
But at this stage, so don't forget, democracy works on opposing ideas not coming together necessarily, one predominating over the other. And sometimes when they come together, that's good.